Hello and welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, y'all, and in this video we're going to be talking about some of y'all's comments in response to the previous video that I did going over some things that were confirmed by the developers for the next update. It wasn't much to go off of, but y'all still gave a bunch of suggestions, and so we have a lot to get through in this video. But if you want your comment to potentially be featured in the next Offroad Outlaws video, go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you are excited for the future of this game and potentially future of updates. Now, for the first comment, this person really wants an 80 series Land Cruiser. Like, really wants an 80 series Land Cruiser. I mean, everything is in caps. Everything. And they say, I just want an Aussie 80 series Land Cruiser. Please, devs of Offroad Outlaws, I reckon y'all can add it. Also, it would be good if you could add overlanding gear and Aussie ARB bull bars and accessories. Please do an Aussie update. Please, please, please. Now, I see whenever we get any new updates or really any kind of chatter around new updates, people that want more Aussie four-wheel drive focused gear and vehicles absolutely come out of the woodwork. So there is definitely a part of the community that really wants that particular kind of niche of off-roading, so it would be cool to see that represented. The next comment we're going to get to actually goes into a few different things, and it says, honestly, I think as soon as they add an F250 non-dually setup into the game, they say they think it's going to blow up and everybody's going to be on it and using that truck. I don't know if it'd be everyone, but there would definitely be a good amount of people interested in a kind of, you know, non-dually but sort of mid-range F250 category style Ford truck. I know there's been a lot of people that have requested it, particularly in the 6.0 generation, because I think a lot of people identify with those because they may have had a family member that had one, or they may have had one themselves, or maybe a parent had one when they were growing up. So those trucks would definitely be a welcome addition. The next request is quick, simple, and right to the point, and they say the vehicle I would like them to add is a Ford Bullnose. Now, this is a particular generation of Ford trucks, a particular front-end style of Ford trucks that predates the 90s OBS, and it's definitely a cool body style, although, actually, I think it's like a couple of generations before the 90s OBS. I don't know, y'all Ford people can correct me on that in the comments down below, but I think it would be really cool to see in the game, although I'm not sure how much support for that body style there would be. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't know how popular it would be in the Offroad Outlaws user base. Although with getting the insight that we did in the last video, we know that some of the older vehicles have more support in the Offroad Outlaws community, and that makes sense now as to why this international was added, because it does seem a little obscure, a little bit niche. And so knowing now from the developers that the older vehicles tend to have more support from the community makes sense that not only this got added, but why we may have a chance at some more kind of obscure-ish vehicles. This next one I wholeheartedly agree with, and it says we need a proper OBS 7.3, and 100% fully agree with that. I know that that is something that I have wanted in this game for a long time, and I know it's something a lot of others have wanted in the game for a long time as well. I mean, I personally would love a quad cab manual transmission OBS 7.3 in real life. That's definitely one of the trucks I would love to own at some point. I would love to do a restoration project on one. So seeing one in Offroad Outlaws would be sick. The next one is really simple. It's a request for longer buses and lowrider suspension. Now, I don't know about the lowrider suspension. I mean, you can kind of sort of, I guess, hack your way into a lowrider suspension right now. However, I do think that with the addition of the limo, that kind of opens up the door for some extra long vehicles. And so I think a full-length bus, like maybe a school bus or something, would be absolutely hilarious. Next up, another request for more Aussie vehicles. We once again see this more and more and more as time goes on with Offroad Outlaws, and it just continues to really clarify the support that there is for the Aussie four-wheel drive stuff in the Offroad Outlaws community. Now, this next one is actually a thread of comments, so bear with me here. But the thread actually reads, we should be able to open hoods and look at engines. We need a better diesel sound, and every truck should have a different sound sometimes. I don't quite know what they meant by that, but the reply to it was, all that's too extra. Just give us easy things like tailgates and maybe a little bit of an animation of your door opening and closing when you start your truck up. And then the other commenter just replies, I agree. Now, I don't know if these specific things would ever make it in. However, I do think that the train of thought is a really good one, and I think that it could lead to some potential really good changes down the line. This next one is something that I definitely don't think gets mentioned enough, and that is, what if they added new skins for your character, more shirts, more hats, and stuff like that would be nice. And not only do I totally agree, but I think that you could take it even one step further, or maybe even a few steps further, by deepening the character customization down to the point of having the addition of female characters with also an addition of different body types for each character model. Although I don't know how much depth of character customization could be added to Offroad Outlaws without sort of being overbearing on the actual game itself. This next one references what we talked about in my last Offroad Outlaws video and says, all right, if old trucks are the most popular, GMT 400 Platform Suburban, first gen Super Duty and Excursion, and an actual Ford OBS, please. And essentially I'm just adding the please, but I'm sure that that's what Dr. Racer 78 meant by that. And I fully agree with this. I think those are all wonderful suggestions, and I don't think that there would ever be a lack of support for any of those, and I really don't think anyone would complain if those were added. I mean, apart from the people that always complain about Offroad Outlaws updates, but I feel like that's just kind of one of those things you're going to get when you run a game community that spans this many people. It's kind of the classic saying of, for better or worse, if you put something out there, someone is going to take a swing at it at some point or another. This next one is a subject we've talked about at length before, but they say we need the ability to swap the cabs to a 4-door or 6-door or a single cab or an extended cab, and where you can make a truck a short bed or a long bed. Now, cab and bed switching is something that we have talked about in the past at length. It's something that I have personally always wanted to see in Offroad Outlaws, and I think that it could add even more depth to the game than potentially even adding more vehicles, because at the end of the day, what you're essentially doing is you're adding a million different trim levels and option packages to the vehicles that already exist. Next up, we have someone really interested in two-stroke ATVs and dirt bikes, along with saying they would like maybe an F-150 or F-250, and of course a utility side-by-side. Now, a utility side-by-side is definitely an interesting suggestion because it's not something we see suggested very often. We more often see, in terms of side-by-sides, at least I see people asking for more of the fast side-by-sides, like more four-seater turbo Can-Ams and things like that. But in particular, I think I see the most suggestions for, again, the high-powered turbo four-seater, like longer, larger side-by-sides. And so it's interesting to see someone requesting utility ones, and I can only imagine that the primary motivator for that is roleplay purposes. Next up, this one replies to something I said in the prior video, and it reads, who'da thunk it? I'm a 43-year-old kid. And the reason they said that is because there was a point in the last Offroad Outlaws video I did where I replied to some of the people that love to go after Offroad Outlaws and say, oh, this is just some crappy kids game. And that always cracks me up because there are so many people, there are so many adults that play Offroad Outlaws, whether it's just like something to do in their free time or something to do like when they maybe don't have anything else to do, or they have like a free 5 or 10 minutes. But that always cracks me up, and it's kind of funny to see this comment out there because it only confirms what I was saying in the prior video more. This next one says, it would be really cool if they added mega trucks to Offroad Outlaws. And here's the thing, I feel like the monster suspension kind of covers the mega truck category, because if you just change your tuning on it a little bit, you can get pretty dang close to the way I guess I would say the way a mega truck looks and feels and drives. The next one says realistic truck sounds would be awesome and being able to ride in other people's vehicles. Now, we've heard a little bit before, or at least in terms of chatter, about being able to ride in other people's vehicles, but I think at one point, and I might be wrong on this, but I think at one point the devs may have said that it might have been a little bit too intensive on the game engine, although I will double check and follow up on that to actually see. The next one said they wanted a customizable cab sizes, camper shells, mud flaps, and dual bed stacks. All great suggestions. And the next one is a little longer, but it actually says, I've always wished they'd bring back detailed interiors. They had it at one point, but it left over time. And also a new car category would be nice. For example, retro cars like Bel Airs, etc. I know they already have that, but different years from prior ones put into a category. So essentially what this person wants is the ability to sort the classic vehicles into their own specific category in the garage and dealership, which I don't think is a terrible idea. And they also said that they appreciate the videos, which I, of course, appreciate not only you, but all of y'all out there in the comments. And even if you don't comment, even if you just chill out and watch, I deeply appreciate each and every one of y'all. The next comment says, I would love to see more suspension styles, especially in any level, but I would also love new bed configurations. Now, an any level would be sick, but I don't quite know if the game engine would be able to handle it. I don't know. We would have to wait and see how that would work at a later date. And to paraphrase, the next one says they basically would like to see the ability to put more ATVs on a gooseneck, just with the game giving you a warning that if you have an older device, it might crash. I think it's a good idea, although I still think it might cause some other issues. But that's all we have time for in this video, y'all. And if you enjoyed, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments, and I will see y'all next time.